Happy birthday, Damian.
Thank you. All right, so first, before we start, I want to thank you guys all for doing this. This is such an honor, and I'm so excited to have all of you guys because, some of you are on shows that wouldn't normally get to go to Comic-Con, so to get to have you on this panel, which we've been doing for over 10 years now, I'm just so excited. So thank you guys all for making the time.
This is a elaborate way to get this many people together to sing you happy birthday, Damian. I'm just
you see through my plan.
I see you.
All right, so we're going to start this. And okay, so I'm Damian Holbrook from TV Guide Magazine, and welcome to San Diego Comic-Con at Home. This is our annual TV Guide Magazine Fan Favorites panel, and this is just an epic list this year. I'm so excited to talk to all of you. We have Shawn Ashmore from The Rookie and The Boys. We have Camrus Johnson from Batwoman. We have Nicole Maines from Supergirl. Kaitlin Olson from It's Always Sunny and Hacks. Leah Lewis from Nancy Drew. Brec Bassinger from, is it Bassinger or Bassinger, Brec?
Bassinger,
yes.
Not related to Kim. Yeah.
Yes, Brec Bassinger from Stargirl, Roselyn Sanchez from Fantasy Island, Lee Soffer from Chicago PD, Mädchen Amick from Riverdale, and Lesley-Ann Brandt from Lucifer. You guys, thank you so much. Welcome. First, thank you. I want to thank you all for not just being here, but for the last year of TV that you have created, because this time last year, we did not know what TV was going to look like. Everything was shut down. Nobody knew what protocols were going to be in place. Nobody knew what shows were going to be able to get crews. Those of you that work in Vancouver, God bless you. So thank you for just persevering and giving us something to watch. And this is fan favorite, so obviously this is one of those things where you all have fandoms, but it was also my kind of my wish list. So I was I'm
honored.
And so and Kaitlin, I have to say, Kaitlin, I think I can actually claim to be your first fan.
You're definitely my biggest fan. So happy birthday. I love you. Nobody else is here. No offense to everybody else. Just
Well, so Kaitlin, I met you guys when you were here in Philadelphia filming the first season of It's Always Sunny before it even launched. And now it's 77 seasons later.
Yeah, 78.
The show is bigger than ever, and Hacks just ended, which was so great. But I have to say, Sweet D on Sunny, maybe not the person that fans should emulate, but do you get people who come up and be like, I'm totally a Sweet D?
Oh, I swear to God, I don't know what's wrong with people. It happens all the time. No joke. I'm the Sweet D of our group. Everyone calls me Sweet D. I've got this group and I'm the Sweet D. I'm like, that sucks. That's not good. I don't know what I think it's a compliment, so thank you, but you should make some life changes.
Right. And then you went and did the Mick, which was also another not great person.
Yeah, I if you want a real asshole with a woman's body, I'm kind of your go-to.
But it's one of those things, this is a show that it's been on for so long, and I'm imagining people just come up to you and just say random lines, right?
Social media is really quite an outlet. I mean, when we started Sunny, it was some people had MySpace.
Right.
That was it. We kind of grew up with this whole social media. So yeah, it doesn't matter what I post, if it's serious, if it's loving, if it's funny. There's 10,000 shut up birds. It's just I just gotta scroll through them to get to the actual content.
I'm hoping people were nice when you were doing that amazing thing last month where you saved the dog.
Yes, that's maybe the one time people were kind. That dog was the cutest thing in the world, and I was brokenhearted that we found his family.
That was a journey we all went on, though. It was amazing.
It was so scary. Yeah, he's doing well. I still keep in touch with them.
Nice. And now, Mädchen, speaking of the rise of social media, when you burst onto the scene with Twin Peaks, there was none of that.
None of it.
People were writing letters to the network. Now, what's it like now, knowing that not only how much things have changed, but also you're still in a show where it's so heavily social media followed, and that you have this rabid fan base that can get in touch with you now.
Well, what was like thing is 30 years ago was the first weeks. Yeah, nothing. I mean, we were secretly filming in the Valley in Burbank. We had done a lot of exteriors. We did the pilot in Seattle, Washington. It was a big secret because we never wanted the fans to know that we weren't really in that location. David Lynch is very particular about not revealing secrets. He probably would be mad that I just said that, but oh well. You heard it here first. But thankfully, because there was a lot of things that we were trying to keep quiet about the storyline and who killed Laura Palmer and all of these mysteries that surrounded the show. And then cut to 25 years later, when we came back for our third season on Showtime, all of a sudden now we're in full social media, time period. So David Lynch had to really put the brakes on and keeping everything as secret as possible. And it was really hard to do. To the point where fans were like outside. We went back and filmed the third season in the Washington area. But I mean, fans would come around and film us. And we actually had to put out in social media, guys, help us keep the mystery alive and don't post too much. And they were such great fans that they all did. They all like hushed it and kept it really secret. But Riverdale is like, it's all about social media and being able to interact with our fans. It was something that I was never comfortable with, being from old school days. But I ended up embracing it because I've become a big mental health advocate. So I use my platform to bring awareness to that. So I found kind of a nice new feeling and understanding about social media and having it be such a direct contact to communicate with our fans. And I found it to be a really like a kind of a beautiful journey that I've gone on.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, and now Shawn, another one. You've been around for a while. You've been an X-Men. You've done TV. You've done video games. Like your fandom is very wide and varied. You did The Boys, and it's funny. Like you had a super suit. Camrus, we just saw your new super suit. Some of you are experienced in having to wear some very intricate outfits. But what are you most recognized for? And do you ever get confused for your twin?
Right.
You get his fan.
Let's answer that immediately every day. So I have a twin brother named Aaron, who's also an actor, and we get confused all the time. I still think the thing that I'm most recognized for is definitely X-Men. I think
it's true.
The first X-Men film was probably 18 years ago, maybe coming up on 20 years ago. And I was in 4 of them. So what was kind of interesting is I'm 41 now. So I was like, early 20s when I did it. And as I matured as a person, as an actor, we would come back every couple of years and do a film. So I feel like people are connected to that character because they've seen you grow up. Not just over a couple seasons of a show, but actually through this physical transformation and like a young person into like a man, I guess. So that was kind of interesting and kind of cool. But yeah, superhero costumes, guys, help me out. I've had 3 for Bobby Drake, and then most recently 1 for Lamplighter on The Boys, and it's incredible to see yourself in it, to see the images, to see yourself on screen. But not the most comfortable things to wear, I will say.
Nah, dog. My first fitting, everyone was like, how is it? I was like, it looks freaking great. I can't breathe.
Yeah.
But everything else is great. Yeah, dude.
So Lamplighter, the character I just played on The Boys, has like a hood. And I was like, oh, the hood's going to be amazing. It's like this. It was kind of like, for me, reminiscent of like a Jedi cowl, this thing that comes over. And I always thought that was a cool look. And I really was like into them designing that and having it, but it always flopped down, so it never looked cool. So constantly when I'm in a scene, I'm like trying to keep my head up so it doesn't fall over my face, and it just never looked cool. I was like, and it looks great, but I always felt silly because I was constantly like, doing these mannerisms that I'm like, what? Like when I watched it, I was like, what am I doing? Like tilting my head back so that the thing didn't fall down in my face. But super fun.
Nicole, your part of your costume is glued to your face.
Yeah, my mask. Yeah, it's covered in double-sided tape, and then you just tack it on. Makeup's always worried, at the end of the day. They're like, oh, be careful when you take it off. Don't hurt your skin. And I'm like, at the end of the day, all the adhesive has come off. It is being held on by the tack of my face sweat. It's a glamorous like that.
Right. And Brec, your costume is actually pretty comfortable because it's like kind of like bike shorts, cute top.
Right. Like you would think until we're filming in the middle of winter and it's like 10 degrees outside and we're supposed to be filming summer. And they're like, oh, we can see your breasts. This doesn't work. And I'm freezing. And then also it doesn't look like it, but it is, well, it does look like it. It does look extremely tight. It is so tight. It is actually like left bruises on my body. But I mean, at least, yeah, I got a little mobility.
Right. All right. So, and now Jessie Lee. So many people probably still know you from the Brady Bunch movies.
Oh, God.
Or Daytime. Because the soap fans are loyal.
Yeah,
like, they
very,
will
very
stick
loyal.
with you. But now, this is one of those things.
They believe more. Like, there's a very strong conviction in, like, that's a reality. So that I've had soap fans come up and be like, I'm still upset with you.
Right.
And I'm like, that's not, thank you, but you're crazy.
They are the ones, right? They're the ones that would yell at people in the supermarket.
Yeah. Yes, totally.
But kind of like what the Rookie is right now, and the Chicago shows. These are shows that, like, because a lot of times the fan show, like the fan favorites panel or Comic-Con itself, is the superhero stuff or the genre stuff. But these shows have developed massive verbal fandoms. Like, you guys all have ship names. You know, like, again, 10 years ago, we did not have ships.
Right.
And now, like, you got to hashtag the names, and you got the combos, and you got the potentials. And was that something you were prepared for? Because you're doing like a police procedural in Chicago, and suddenly there's like fan fiction.
Not at all. Like, I think it was like my character's name is Halstead, and then it was and Sophia Bush's character in the beginning of the show when it came on was Lindsay, and so instantly there was like this Linstead hashtag, and I was like, I don't know what a hashtag is. It's like, so, let alone a ship name. So I was well, like, underwater. I needed a whole education. It was crazy.
Yeah, it is. And how are the fans? Because you guys film so much on location. And I'm sure, like, after 8 seasons, they still showing up.
Totally. I mean, Mr. Wolf is very smart. Like, he tapped into a market that no one had really tapped into before. It was Chicago, who has crazy loyalty for their sports teams, and that translated very easily into the One Chicago franchise. So anytime we're on the street, people are walking by shouting character names like, "Hey, Halstead," and it's like it's pretty crazy. It's awesome there. Yeah.
All right. And now, Lesley-Ann, you are, and this is perfect for you to be on the fan favorites panel, because literally the fans saved Lucifer. Like, those Lucifans did not back down. Like, Fox canceled you, and they just mobilized.
They were like, hold up, no.
Yeah, they were not going to take this. What was that like for you guys when you were waiting to find out and seeing this just swell of fandom?
Well, Lauren and I were in New Zealand, and we were kind of on this like rock star farewell tour, sort of going, yeah, it's so sad, the show is ending, and you finish, you mentally prepare yourself for like your next job, and you're already taking meetings, and you're doing all of those things, and fans are like, do you think it's gonna? And I honestly didn't at all. And then when it really started to become a thing, I think we were all kind of in disbelief, because you're in this limbo of like, what, do I have a job? Do I not have a job? This is insane. This is incredible. Like, how do I plan my life? I've got a child. Like, am I living in Los Angeles? What is happening? And then when I was really happy for the fans, to be honest with you, because they mobilized, they worked so hard. And I was really grateful. I live 15 minutes from the Warner Brothers lot. So I was happy to have my job on bed, have my kid be in his school, and, just very, very, very grateful. And then we went on to do like 3 more years.
Yeah, probably longer than you were on Fox, and you've gotten to tell like an incredible story, which we'll get to because that was something that fans and just viewers really were waiting for and holding out for, and it was played beautifully this season. Brec, you had to win the most important fan over because your character was created by Jeff Johns based on his sister. So what was that like auditioning for a role that you knew was so close to the creator's heart?
It's definitely an honor. Like in hindsight, I'm very honored that he chose me. But I think like from the very beginning, he's told me this time and time again, like he was not going to make this show unless he found the person that kind of just represented his sister in the way he felt it should be. So it's an honor. There's also like pressure, but I've had that conversation with Jeff and he's just so loving and accepting.
Yeah. And the first season was so like beloved. It was so bright. It was the character is so lovely. So hopeful. And it really feels like almost it could be paired with Supergirl because Nicole, you can speak to this. That show is so optimistic.
Yeah. Well, I think especially now, because especially on Supergirl, we do a lot of social commentary. And we try to use superhero themes to address things that are going on in the world around us. And I think especially over the past couple of years, we have all been in desperate need of some optimism and some bright, dazzly, glittery superheroics. And Supergirl and Stargirl also are just the kind of shows that deliver that and give people the kind of campy, fun, superhero-y vibes that we all grew up loving.
And we did that panel for Outfest a couple weeks ago, and it still blows my mind. Like, so Dreamer, your character makes her comic book debut in DC Pride today.
It comes out today.
Yeah. So this will air in July, but in June, she hit shelves.
In the past, it's already come out.
Have you gotten your head around how life-saving your performance and your character is for trans kids?
Oh, I know, because I'm in the same boat as the fans and as the audience. When I do panels and I do meet and greets and signings and I'm talking to fans of Dreamer, I always tell them, I'm like, you guys, I feel everything you guys are feeling. It's my first trans superhero too, but and you guys have the luxury of getting to all fan about it together. I have to sit on this secret by myself for months. So it's just me like pacing in my apartment, like, ooh, they don't know what I got cooking. It's gonna be so good, trans superhero. and it's been a complete dream.
Yeah.
And I'm so excited, and so I've been kind of glued to my phone all day, just seeing people get excited about the comic, and I'm so proud of it, and I'm so glad that people are so far liking it.
Right. It's so great because the representation is important, but also the presentation has been so great. Like they didn't just throw you up as a poster child. They, your character is fully fleshed out.
Absolutely. Well, that is the next stage of representation too. It's not just showing marginalized groups as a particular label and having them be that character. It is presenting trans folks and queer folks as people and three-dimensional characters with strengths and weaknesses and flaws, and they make mistakes. And that's what I think, especially for Dreamer, has made so many people latch onto her and attach to her and relate to her so much, is because a lot of people, regardless of whether or not they're trans, can identify with her because she's gone through a ton of stuff that everyone can really relate to. And I think that's what makes her so endearing as a hero.
Right. And speaking of representation, which is all across this grid here, but Roselyn, you have worked tirelessly to represent Latina characters and the constantly making sure that front and center, that the projects you work on represent, like in front and behind the camera, and it's got to be so rewarding when you see people who say they feel seen?
Oh my God, yeah, 100%. You know, I've been doing this for so long, you know, and I've been blessed enough to be able to play always Latina, because I'm Latina and I do have an accent, you know, that gives me away immediately, and I look very Latina, as you can see. But I've been very fortunate to always play educated, fierce, incredible women, you know, and to me that's very important. It doesn't matter the career, because I don't like judging the characters. You know, I believe that when I read something, if I can do something special with it, I'm all about it. But I've been really, really lucky and really blessed, you know, to be able to play a lot of really incredible Latina women, you know, and yeah, I think we are, things are changing. Of course, we need more changes, you know, especially with the Latino community, because I believe inclusivity and diversity is so important nowadays. The mandate of every single network, every studio is we need diversity. And I feel for whatever reason, the Latinos are a little bit, it's almost like we're catching up, but we're a little step behind, you know, and I don't understand exactly why that is happening. But I'm hoping that we're going to see major changes very soon.
Well, you're playing the iconic relative of Mr. Work on the new Fantasy Island. And Mädchen, you did a Fantasy Island reboot as well. Do you have any tips for handling Fantasy Island?
I think our Fantasy Island remake was just not timed very well. We went, Barry Sonnenfeld and Barry Josephson brought it to life. And so it was a very dark take. Malcolm McDowell was Mr. Rourke. I was his sidekick. Ariel had, you know, was a sprite that had magic and could make all of your dreams come true. So let's just hope the timing is so much better.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I know.
And Roselyn, what is your Elena Rourke like?
Oh my God, Elena Rourke. She's awesome. Listen, I've been finding her we're shooting episode 4 right now. And at the very beginning, when I first read the pilot script, it was a little darker. It was darker. It was more mysterious. And then we had a table read, and luckily the network and the studio, they were like, we want this to be a little bit, I don't want to say more fun, because that's not the right word. You know, they just wanted it to be more relatable. Maybe they just wanted people to have laughs,
right?
You know, to keep it positive, uplifting, beautiful messages about, we tackle a lot of deep stuff, you know, but for the most part, it's about making the dream come true and becoming a better person and going through this like soul searching kind of journey. And at the end, learning something that is very valuable in your life. So I think it is a show that is timely. I think that's what people need nowadays. You know, there's so much content out there, but the world is so shitty for the most part. So people wanna, you know, you just wanna have a laugh, and you just wanna, not think too much.
It sounds like perfect timing coming out of the pandemic and just needing positive entertainment.
Right.
Yes, I think so. And this Elena, she's fierce, but it was very important to me to keep her. And I keep telling the showrunners and the writers, I want to be funny. I want to have an incredible time. I want to have a laugh when I'm going to work.
Right.
And hopefully, if that's my feeling, the audience is gonna relate to that. I just want people to have a good time. Listen, she's strong. She is opinionated, you know, she is helping people through this journey. So she has to be stern and
you playing a strong opinionated.
Right? What?
I couldn't see it.
Wait, and so Roselyn, you've also entered the world, because this is an entire other world of fandoms that really has blown up in the last couple of years. The Hallmark movies.
Yes, I did a Hallmark with my husband, with Eric, and it was. Can I tell you something? It was lovely. We had a great time. We went to Vancouver and we were there for a month, and we took the kid and the nanny, and it was our first time working together. Even though we've been together for 15 years, it was the first time actually acting together, and we had a laugh.
Nice.
It was fun. People love Hallmark movies.
Oh my God, they're the best. I need you all to do a Hallmark movie at some point. Leah, Leah Lewis, this season, you got, so this is one of my favorite things. It's like, you, Lesley-Ann, like, your characters in the source materials did not look like you guys. You know, like, Maze was not a black woman and George Fan was not Asian. And the fact that like the generation that's watching your show, they don't know that. Like you're their version of your characters.
No, in fact, Neil Gaiman he was getting pushback because Netflix is doing a Sandman series and they cast this really beautiful, I think she's British, black actress to play Mazikeen. And he got so much pushback. He was like, that would be as if like casting Maze is white. And he's like, yeah, Maze is white in the comic book.
Right.
Have you not read it? But you're right. Yeah.
It's so cool. And like George, this character this season you got to play not just your character, but also a lesbian French ghost that had possessed you.
Yes, it was so fun to play this lesbian French ghost. I think George is such an unrefined, snarky, tough, very unaware of her body kind of character. And to play a ghost from the 1800s who is very aware of her body and very aware of how proper she is or might not be, it was a stark difference playing both of them. But I feel like it was such a privilege just to get to like have a French accent and learn more about the French culture and do something that I would never be placed in a French. I mean, hopefully as times are changing, I would be placed in a movie like that. But as far as I'm concerned, I don't see myself in the French Revolution as an Asian woman, with a French accent. And that was just like a really, really big treat for me. And I'm
having
sad
anxiety
that she died.
just thinking about a character like that. I'm
Right?
like, how did you even? It's like doesn't compute. I'm like, I don't know where you start. How did you? Oh God.
She's like this prim, proper, but like super sexy, but like oppressed sexy, which I feel like is kind of hard to do.
Layers.
Caitlin knows what oppressed sexy is.
Oppressed sexy. Yes.
And so, but the writers also this season gave you some incredible stuff where they kind of fleshed out your character's family life as well. So we got more representation there and we got to see like what that means. And they did a really interesting job of addressing racism within the Asian community and the Black community.
They did. So what's really amazing is just getting to see more into George Fan's life. You actually got to see what her house looked like and what a traditional, I guess, like Chinese household would look like. And our writers were very, very detailed and our set decorators were very detailed down to just the way the house looked and the different kinds of trinkets that were there. And just like the different kind of food that was left on the stove, just to like prove a point and really paint this world. And when we did have this episode that kind of addressed this, I'd say like older generation Asian people and Black people kind of, I guess the different kind of racial feuds that they had that are now affecting generations today. Mm-hmm. It was really cool actually getting to have a conversation about that on our show because our writers actually included us in the conversation outside as well, which was really, really important for Tunji, who plays Ned, who is my boyfriend in the show, and me playing George Fan, actually getting to be included in the conversations and kind of give our opinions on what kind of conversations we would realistically have in real life. That was really important. And I was really, really grateful for that opportunity. And also just to get to show that on TV. It was really important for us.
Especially because it's also a show where there is a lesbian French ghost. So like the fact that there's that duality, pretty amazing. And I had to say, how great was it to work on the half of it? Which, if you guys have not seen the half of it, Leah is incredible in this film. How was that? Because that was such a role that normally would not go to an Asian girl.
Of course. I mean, the half of it, it was so special just because even though I am Chinese American and I grew up in the United States, this was a character who was second generation Chinese and came from an immigrant family. And we just had completely different experiences. So the fact that the director trusted me with a character that was so insanely different than me, I got to learn so much about myself. I got to learn so much about the Chinese culture. I mean, I'm still learning about my Chinese American identity as I go on. But it was such a big privilege to step into the shoes of a character that was about to tell a story that would mean a lot to a lot of people who don't generally get to have a voice. Right. All of those closeted Chinese girls in in like middle America who don't get to talk about these things or feel like they are included or heard. I think that was the biggest privilege for me, just seeing how people reacted to it after as well.
Nice. And now, Camrus, Batwoman has also tackled a ton of issues this year. Also, in that crazy world where there's Batwoman, and then also these issues, and your character got caught up in some stuff that. What has it been like for you to kind of get to reflect these stories back to viewers?
I mean, it's been dope, man. I mean, it all started in this season when we got a Black Batwoman, which is already the biggest statement that we could say. So everything after that was just, icing on top of the dessert. It was amazing. So I feel like this season with our Black lead, it was like, okay, cool. So we can just talk about Black people stuff like all the time because half the cast is Black. So now there was so many conversations with the writers. We were like, okay, we're going to talk about Black women's hair. We're going to talk about police brutality. We're going to like we can hit everything because you now have a Black nerd, you have a Black woman in the streets, and you got a Black cop. You don't need much more than that. There's so much here that we can play with. So I felt very lucky to be able to have such a sort of dark arc at the end of the season because we were spending so much time introducing our new lead that we were sort of just supporting that, like getting the audience used to and warmed up to this new lead. And as we got through the season, we were able to touch on so many little things because this new character like didn't come from money. Like she was living in a van in the first episode of the season. So she automatically didn't like cops. Like she already came with this full story that we could dive into and get into the nitty gritty. And then seeing the juxtaposition of her meeting my character, who is very rich and the son of Lucius Fox, who worked for Batman, seeing them team up together was a very beautiful thing.
And so have you heard from the wildly underrepresented fans of the Black nerd?
Dog, what? The Blurds? Oh my gosh, the Blurds came strong. But the Blurds came since day one though. Like when they saw, because the thing about me, right, is like as a Black male actor, 4 or 5 years ago, I was only going in for drug dealers, right? When you look at me, maybe with this headband, but pretend the headband's not here. Do I look or sound like I could sell you drugs? Imagine me walking up to you and saying, "Want some weed?" I was so bad. You're sold. I was so bad. I was so bad at these auditions, and like I can do it, but like when you're only going in for it, your heart's not in it because it feels like no one actually believes that you can get, like, no one's actually casting you for who you are, what your skill set is. They're only casting you because of the color of your skin. So in 1 week, I went in for the lead of 3 different shows, and I was 2 drug dealers and 1 gunslinger. So to play this role where I get to play Luke Fox, and I'm like a super nerd, pretty girls make me nervous. I mix up with my words. I trip all the time. I'm super clumsy. Everybody walks into the Batcave and it's my fault. Like I get to play this fun character that, got accepted to MIT and like has all this rich culture about him that we don't often get to see on camera. So since the beginning, the Blurds were like team Luke Fox, team Cam, we're in here, and then as this season progressed and we get to see this Blurred, not only fall into being happy with who he is, but also finding the rest of him that he's kept suppressed all these years. It's like a dream come true for me.
Nice. And Jesse,
I'm so excited. I learned a new word, blurred.
Blurred.
I was gonna say,
I did too.
Is that a term?
That's a thing. Yeah, there's
Blurred.
Yeah.
Dog, Blurred is a very real thing.
There's a couple websites. Like,
Yeah. Blurred's
like,
wait
a second though. Camrus, you didn't just make it up though, right?
No.
I can use that out in the world and it's cool.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not going to speak for the whole community, but Blurred is a very real thing. Because I feel like for Black people, like we had so many sections. Like I'm sure Lesley-Ann can speak on this too. There are so many sections of us that were like, I don't know if I'm allowed to do this because I'll get clowned for being this. Like every version of Black that didn't feel like what the world assumed was Black didn't feel correct. So growing up as a, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so,
I'm mixed. I'm so mixed. So it's exactly. So it's like, yeah, I completely get what you're saying.
You completely get it. Like there's like this pocket, right? So I'll just speak on Black nerds specifically. When people see you as a Black nerd, I grew up, I still play video games. I'm like one of the biggest Black Blurds you'll ever meet. But growing up, people would assume like, oh, since you speak like that, since you play these, like, oh, you're an Oreo. You're like white on the inside, Black on the outside. And that's a thing that we hear a lot, at least that we did growing up, because Blurred was like not a cool thing. Nowadays, it's like the coolest thing. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? So,
Wait, have you played Shawn's video game?
which video game is this?
I got a couple, Damian.
Oh,
I got one called,
Oh.
well, I have one called Quantum Break that was out a couple years ago, and another game called Man of Medan that was out maybe a year and a half ago.
Man of Medan?
If you're gonna, Man of Medan. It's like a horror game. It's like a story-driven, choose your own adventure. Okay. All right, then try Quantum Break. It's like a time travel, shoot 'em up, third person.
Is it? Was a shooter?
Yeah.
What system? PS4?
No.
No.
Xbox.
Is it a PC game?
It's Microsoft.
It's
Xbox. It is on PC. It is on PC.
Hey, don't knock Xbox.
Here we
Don't
go.
knock Xbox.
Hey, nothing against Xbox, but I got
No.
that. I'm on the
Cam,
PlayStation
come over.
now,
We'll
yeah.
play it. I'll get it on my.
There
I
you
bet
go.
it's lit. It's lit.
Nice. All right, now Jesse, something that Cameron was just talking about. Very interesting year to be starring on a cop show.
Yes.
What was that like, and what were the discussions when you guys went back into production after everything?
Oh, man, I mean, this is such a big macro issue. And we're at the end of the day, we're entertainers and we're making a TV show. But you do feel a responsibility to tell the truth. Good TV, you tell the truth. Good acting, you're telling the truth, right? So I give a lot of credit to the writers this year because they definitely tackled all the issues and covered every angle. And they did it in a way where I hope, we did an episode about George Floyd. The character wasn't named George Floyd, but we did an episode. And we're telling stories from police point of view. So you have to remember that going into it. But I hope that in a lot of these episodes that we did, we made connections for people and we made people go, oh my God, I didn't think about it that way. And have a deeper sense of the issue in a way that you could maybe have a connection with someone that you wouldn't normally have a connection with. A lot of these episodes, everyone's wrong and there's no good outcome because in so many of these situations, there is no good outcome. And so the writers really took on this responsibility and they went for it and we swung hard. And I think that some of the best episodes that we've ever done as a TV show happened this season.
Nice.
Could I also real quick, I just wanted to say that I did one episode of Chicago PD. And I think one reason that the show is so well received is because the actors care so much. So I had one of the best experiences on this set. And if I remember correctly, Jesse, you came to set early just to watch me do my scene that you weren't even in. And you told me that. You were like, hey, I was like, oh, what's up, bro? You're like, I know I'm not in the next scene. I love what you did in the table read. I wanted to see how you're going to do it. And like the fact that you and your cast treated me, who was just in one episode, like part of the family, it showed me like, wow, y'all come correct. Y'all make sure the guest actors feel comfortable. And you also you celebrated the scene. You celebrated the episode. Like you wanted it to be done so well, not just because you cared about the project, but you cared about the audience. So yeah, shout out to the whole Chicago PD.
That means so much. Thank you so much, Camrus.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, we're passionate and it matters. It still matters. We're going into season 9 and it matters more than anything. We just want to make a great TV show still. And so thank you, bro. That means a lot.
I don't live in Chicago, but if I did, I probably also would have shown up just to watch you.
Thanks, Kaitlin.
So something that's come up a couple times that you mentioned platform. You get a platform, and you've been able to work with the mental health initiatives. I know Kaitlin, you're very involved in the animal stuff, and Brec, you are an ambassador for the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation, right?
Yes, I'm a type 1 diabetic, so it hits home for me.
Yeah. So what does that get you to, what does that allow you to do?
So I've traveled to different galas and spoken at them. I go to the JDRF walks all throughout the year. Every other year they do a children's congress because there's a particular bill that probably funds 50% of JDRF. So we go and speak in front of Congress and get the bill renewed. And as of now, I think it's been renewed over 10 times in a row. So I've learned so much just about diabetes. I've had diabetes for 12, almost 13 years. And still every time I go and meet all my fellow diabetics, I'm like, oh, wow, what medicine is that? Haven't heard of that.
Right.
So it's like such a learning experience for me each time.
And I can imagine it's also important for kids to see that, you know, even with a diagnosis like that, you can grow up and be a superhero.
Oh yeah, I think about that all the time. I remember when I got diagnosed, I tell the story, but it really just, it set up such a life for me. I was in the hospital and my mom brought me the People magazine article, and Nick Jonas had actually just come out about having diabetes the week I got diagnosed. And at that point, I still wanted to be an actor. I was 8 years old. I was like, I'm going to be an actor. And I was like, see, you can still do it. And now, 13 years later, getting to be on a show where not only one, like there's a superhero group of 5, the JSA, 2 of us are type 1 diabetics. Cameron Gellman, who plays Our Man. Like the odds of that are just astronomical. So yeah, diabetics are pretty awesome and should be superheroes.
That is very, very cool. And Kaitlin, the animal stuff, like, how did you get into this?
I mean, I've always been a huge animal lover. I have 2 little boys who like animals more than people. And we just end up being that house where if my friends will call and be like, oh, there's a cat. We found it in a tree and like, it's not chipped. What do I do? I'm like, bring the cat. And so we just have this, like, I actually just started a whole foster room and I have 2 cats right now that I'm fostering, and I'm trying to find homes because, you know, one of the most horrible, I mean, there's a ton of things horrible that happened this last year, but one of them is people are losing their jobs and having to dump their animals on the street. And that's, you know, the shelters are very overcrowded and the foster system for animals is overcrowded. So, I mean, it's just something we're doing right now and we'll see how long it lasts. But I just also think it's such a really wonderful way, whatever you're involved in, especially if you have kids, it's our way of being of service and giving back in some small way, and we get to play with kitties.
Nice. All right, so I want to go around the room. What is the weirdest fan encounter you've ever had? Lesley-Ann, let's start with you.
I have a good one.
It was weird for me, but also flattering. A fan had traveled to an event I was attending from Italy, I believe, for like one day, just to meet me to show the tattoo of my face on his arm. And
Oh, no.
And I like, you know, I was like, thank you. I am huge fans of many people. I'm not sure I would put their faces in my body, but it was, yeah. And that's literally all he came to show me, was just say, I come from to show you.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, Nicole, how about you?
I think I know yours, Nicole.
I had some weird ones. So I'm on Cameo, and one of the strangest requests I've ever gotten, I just got it this past week, was completely random. Just wanted to know if I knew the rules of the road. They were just like, hey girl, what are your favorite rules of the road? Do you have a favorite?
Hey,
and I was
girl.
like, I guess like yield for pedestrians.
Wait. Is that slang that we're all missing? Because I'm thinking like, yeah, use your turn signal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah. So I mean, shit, I answered that coin. So
that's got to mean something dirty, right? That's got to mean something.
I feel like
there's got to be some hidden meaning behind that.
Yeah, that's like a Netflix and chill.
Right, exactly.
Like,
I'm sure it was probably, it was like, hey, what are your favorite rules of the road? Also, can you include your feet in your response?
That's where it's the giveaway. Yeah.
That saying's gonna catch on, and we're all gonna be like,
right. All the words are gonna be using it.
It's like, hey, are you a friend of Dorothy? It's like, what are your favorite rules of the road?
Right, rules of the road. I'm gonna try to make it a thing. Shawn, how about you?
I'm gonna double back to what Lesley was saying. It was a tattoo thing. The person didn't come up to me directly, but when we did X-Men Days of Futures Past, there was like a tie-in with a show called Ink Masters, which is a tattoo competition show. And in the early stages of the show, basically there's like these apprentice tattoo artists that give tattoos to contestants, but you don't know if your tattoo artist is any good. So basically they were all X-Men fans, and they had to have X-Men tattoos put on them. Some of them were fantastic, but the person that chose me, it was butchered. It was like horrific. It was like my face was like misshapen. I wish I could find it and I'd show you guys, but it was horrible. And I was like, somebody has a horrible, really, really brutal tattoo of my face somewhere on their body, and I hope that they got it covered. But that was like the most
personal. It's so personal.
So personal.
I mean, I have tattoos, and I'm like, it'll mean something. And then, like,
yeah, I mean, I guess it meant something to somebody, but they just got the wrong artist to do it.
How about you, Brec? Anything weird?
Well, this is so interesting for me to hear because my show came out during the pandemic, like May of last year. So I've had literally 0 fan encounters because I've just been at home. So y'all are giving me a lot to look forward to.
Wow. Nice. Roselyn? She frozen?
Oh, no, frozen.
Oh no.
It's a good picture.
But what a great photo to be frozen on.
Photo.
Oh my gosh.
Bye.
I have never been frozen like that.
That is amazing.
Every time I'm frozen, I'm like,
For real. And then
There she is.
She's back.
There you are, yes.
Back.
Roselyn, have you had any weird fan encounters?
I'm trying to, sorry.
She's trying to find Wi-Fi, I bet.
Ah,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
How about you, Leah? While she seeks, Leah, you got any weird?
I feel bad saying this because I feel like she'll know who she is, and I'm afraid she might see this. But like, there was someone who I'm pretty sure I saw at the airport in Vancouver, who that's fine at the airport, like super chill, love that. But I actually was walking out of my house, and the same person like popped out of the bushes and was like, "Hey, like, remember me?" And I think like living in downtown Vancouver, I think if that had happened in LA, I'd be like, okay, cool. Like, it's a little more casual. But downtown Vancouver is so small. So I was like, whoa, like you totally just saw me like come out of my house and you were like in my freaking bushes. And then she tried to like pick up my dog and then like swing him around. And like my dog at the time was like a rescue dog and very, very like not accustomed to people at all. So I was like, Floyd, and it was like, rah, 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 rah. And she's like, no, I've got this. And I was like, hey, like, love you. I've got to go. I think it was like
stranger danger.
Yeah, it was weird.
Sorry.
I love interacting with fans, but I felt like just because it was like outside in the bushes of my house, I just felt like a little weird about that. But
Super
other than
weird.
That, like,
Super
very
weird.
loyal fan.
yeah,
We love her.
I'm gonna go out on a limb that feels like a red flag.
Yeah.
I know, she, like,
Hopefully
picked up
she
my
does
dog
see
and-
this.
Yes.
Because now we're all
Don't hide in
witnesses.
people's bushes.
Yeah. Roselyn, are you back? Yes.
Oh, you're muted.
Oh, you're muted.
So I am at a award show, and this guy comes over, and this is what I'm thinking of. I don't know. And he said, and he just asked me, he went to his knees, didn't have a ring, but he was insisting that he was proposing and he wanted to get married in front of everybody. And I'm like, I don't know you. And everybody was like, oh, that's so sweet.
No.
Oh my God,
That's sweet.
and it
That
went
was
on,
rude.
and he was seriously like, he thought I was gonna say, yeah, you're gonna be my husband. Let's get married, even though I don't know you. It was the most random, weird. Like, he was fully invested. I was like, oh Jesus Lord. That, and then another one was this. I was at some place, and this woman came over, and this was a beautiful thing. And she had a little girl. She was maybe like my boy, like 3. She says, I just want you to know, I named my daughter after you. Their name is Roselyn with a Y, Roselyn, like you. And I started crying because I thought that was so beautiful. I'm going, why would you do that? Well, thank you. Anyway, so yeah, 2 beautiful random moments that I remember.
Nice. That's beautiful. All right, Mädchen. Mädchen, I'm guessing you had some wild ones.
Well, yeah, I have the Twin Peaks fan base who are, by the way, so incredibly artistic and beautiful. Like these Twin Peaks fans are just amazing. They're amazing painters, singers, musicians. But they're their own fan base altogether. They're very specific. So everybody on this panel, get used to seeing the tattoos. How many Shelley Johnson tattoos I've seen on bodies, I've lost count of. So just wait a second. And then I think that for like sort of like Roselyn, when Twin Peaks actually was out, I would come into contact with different people that would say, we named our, our child after you. Now, Mädchen in German means little girl or maiden. So some of these people didn't know that that's what Mädchen meant, and they were naming their boys Mädchen. So big
Get into the fluidity.
Yeah.
It's like
time for it.
Right. All the rules are gone now. That
This
is
is the future that liberals want.
There you go.
Jesse.
My favorite fan story is actually like a real life rescue encounter. I was out to dinner with Nick Gelfus, who plays my brother on Chicago Med, and we were walking home from dinner, and we heard screeching tires behind us, like a block away, and they had been digging for the plumbing of a building. There was like a 10-foot ditch in front of a building on a main street in Chicago, and a car had rolled into it on its side. And it was really scary. It was like a bad accident. They had hit another car and rolled in, and Nick and I, and he plays a doctor on Chicago Med. We ran, and we
got
like,
this.
what are we doing? I was like,
He was like, please, I'm a doctor.
We sprang into action, and we jumped into the ditch, and we pulled this woman out from the car was on its side. We pulled her out of the driver's side window basically and got her up, and she sat there, and she's really rattled, and she looked at him, and she goes, "Yeah, but wait, you're," and then I came over, and I was like, "Ma'am, don't worry, fire and ambulance is on the way. Are you okay?" And she was like, "Ah."
Only like
That
that
will literally get you the keys to the city.
Yeah, it was like a weird meta experience for her that like the Halstead brothers were saving her life.
So cool.
That's cool.
Camrus.
I can't believe I gotta follow that story. Real quick, so the one
today,
so I pulled this person out of a tree. No, so real quick, the fan that Leah was talking about, I know who that is because she. Yeah, I told Leah about this because I was walking, and I actually have a different story, but real quick, I was walking on the street, and she ran up to me with pictures of me, and was like, "Camrus," and I was like, "Oh, you just had these like on you?" And she was like, "Oh, I was in my car," and like they were in the back of my car, and I saw you walk by, and I just saw Leah Lewis like last week, and I was like, okay, but she was super nice, and she gave me hand sanitizer that I still have. So she's
Same.
So,
Matching hand
yeah, and it
sanitizer.
smells really good. She's dope. So my story, I was in a store in Vancouver, and I was looking for a trash can because I just moved into this apartment, and the trash can was too small, so I could not find it, and everyone was pointing me in different directions. And I walked this way, and I was like, it's definitely behind me. And I turned, and there was a black girl, maybe about 18, and she was at an aisle like this. And when I turned around, she went, "Okay, you're right. I was following you." I was like, "What?" And she was like, "You're right. No, I follow you on Instagram. I think are you in back? Hey," I was like, hey, sweetheart, it's all good. I was like, "What's up?" And she was just like, she just said she was a fan, and she was super sweet, and we hugged, and she left.
My God. See, that's nice. And Kaitlin, I'm so afraid of what you're saying.
I don't even know where to begin. I'm so upset by everything besides that little girl that everybody just said. I don't know. Maybe because most of our fan base is in Philadelphia and they're all insane people. I love them very much. But we've had like a couple stalkers. I'm at the point now where I'm like, anything besides a hello and a compliment, maybe a photo, I'm like, I'm uncomfortable. I'm really sorry. I'm uncomfortable.
Yeah.
We're in Philly. I have so many about Philadelphia.
Yeah.
We all were shooting in Philadelphia, and we were in like a moving vehicle, and we just, all the shots were ruined because we were trying to drive down the street. Everyone's out on their, decks screaming like, "Danny, I made you some pasta," and we're like, just a lot of that stuff. We kind of had to stop shooting outside. Someone tried to give me beer and then pulled his pants down and showed me his penis. That was awesome.
No.
What?
Yeah.
Yo.
He lured me in with the beer.
At least there was some give and take there, you know?
Right, I mean, you did get.
That's
Yeah.
very true.
He worked for it. He earned it.
Well, that's
On
Philly.
the one hand,
That is Philly. So I have to wrap you guys, but one last question is, what are any of you fans of? Like, what are you big fans of? Anyone want to throw anything out?
Oh,
I-
right now, Mayor of Easton, I am like invested.
Mm.
So
I would-
hard.
do.
Shout out to
I'm
Sean.
watching-
Go ahead, Jess.
No, sorry, Camrus, go.
I was gonna say shout out to Sean. I'm a huge fan of The Boys and
Oh,
Invincible.
thanks, man.
Yeah, The Boys and Invincible are my shows right now.
Yeah.
Supergirl.
I love
Yeah.
The Boys, so that's
Yeah,
it's
so
No, I went-
good.
it's awesome. It's so
Hard
good.
on
It's so
Boys
good.
as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, quick
Is-
shout out to Kaitlin. My high school boyfriend and I broke up because he watched your show too much. Like, I would go to his house and the only thing he would do was watch It's Always Sunny. And like,
Oh no!
no, it's okay. It's okay. It was the best thing ever. But I'm a big fan of Always Sunny.
Oh my god, that's very,
yeah,
very
I,
sweet. Sorry about the break.
I would be
Not
remiss.
at all.
I would be remiss if I didn't tell Kaitlin I just finished binging The Mick.
Oh,
Love it.
so good.
That was a good show. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Justice for The Mick.
And actually, Brec, you did a movie with Barbuska, Brielle Barbuska,
Thomas
Oh.
or Brielle?
Thomas's
Well,
sister.
I know Thomas really well. Love that kid. He's crazy.
Hilarious. Well, listen, thank you guys so much. This is just a dream come true for me. This is like my Justice League on the screen right here. You guys are awesome. You have made
Thank
TV
you.
so great, and the fans obviously love you guys, and you guys are so good with the fans. So it's such an honor to have you. Thank you guys so much. Thank you, Comic-Con at home. Have a great day. Again, thank you all.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Thanks,
Thank you
Damian.
so
Bye,
much, guys.
guys.
Yeah.
Hey.
This is dope.
Take care,
Awesome. Thank
everybody.
you guys.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye.
It was great. Thank you.
Bye.
See ya.